G'day guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm a CS Degnan and this is my YouTube channel, and today we're going to play some Broken Swords, but this is the director's cut. So the other day I was sat there thinking, do you know what's a good game to play? And a game I've not played for ages. Broken Sword. And I played this as a child, never quite got to the end of it. It was too challenging for my young little mind to figure out at the time. So I thought, okay, let's revisit this game, and that's probably what I'm going to do with the channel. I'm going to go revisit games that I either didn't finish or never got the opportunity to play. So I thought I'd kick the series off, you know, with Broken Swords. And from what I can understand, the director's cut's just got extra scenes in it and updated graphics. So let's delve into this murder mystery and find out exactly what's new about it and retrace the nostalgia.
Paris, city of love, romance and dreams. So they say. I used to say it too, but ever since that day, the day of the murder, I've always associated my beloved Paris with death.
Very different to how I remember the opening cutscene. The opening cutscene I remember was a clown that went inside a cafe and he dropped like a what do you call them? Some kind of instrument, and it blows up. And then you start the journey as a blonde-haired American called George, and you'll bump into Nichols later on.
I was at home having a bath when my editor called.
Collard, get your ass over to the Palais Royal now. You got an interview. With Pierre Carchon. Yes, the Pierre Carchon. No photos, so leave your gear at home. He asked for you personally. Don't ask me why. Anyhow, this could be big, so if he makes a pass, don't forget. Just smile, say yes, and keep taking notes.
So charming and so very apt. Pierre Carchon was a media king, a national hero, and one of the most infamous adulterers in Europe. He and his wife Imelda were just one step down from royalty. Whoa, I hate mimes, but unless you humor them, they don't go away. Here I was, the palace of the Media King and the Ice Queen. I pressed the doorbell and set in motion a chain of events which would change my life forever.
Yes? What is it?
Madame, my name is Nico Collard. I'm here to see Monsieur Carchon.
Come up, we're on the first floor.
Madame Carchon, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, I'm sure.
The Ice Queen was certainly living up to her reputation. Will you be staying for the interview?
Mademoiselle, I know little of my husband's business affairs, and I care even less. I certainly have no intention of watching him pore over yet another pretty little journalist.
Pretty? You're too kind, madame.
The talented and very beautiful Mademoiselle Collard. Such a pleasure to meet you at last.
Monsieur Carchon, I am honored.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
Call me Pierre, please. But I do not flatter you idly. I was a friend of your father. He was a great man.
My father, he never mentioned.
He and I were very close. And then his death. So tragic. I must... Imelda, your damned cat's in my study again. Another Ming vase, I suppose. Excuse me for one moment, my dear girl.
You journalists are getting younger each year.
Perhaps it's the rest of the world getting older, madame. That was no cat.
God, what? Monsieur Garçon?
Oh, right hook, sucker punched by the Joker.
He's dead. I must call the police. You'd better stay here.
There was a man. It was the mime. Do you think he...
Well, I believe we can rule out suicide, don't you?
No wonder they called her the Ice Queen. She would have been top of my list of suspects if I hadn't seen the attacker myself. And if I hadn't come across a couple of murders just like this already. One of the most important men in Europe murdered. And here was I, Nico Coulard, alone at the scene of the crime. Should I wait for the cops? Or start my own investigation? It was a no-brainer.
Right, okay. That's just telling you how your basic items work, which I already kind of guessed by looking at them. You know, this helps. And hints and tips. You've got your diary there that's going to write down the events of the day. You've got your briefcase, which holds all your inventory, and your spanner will be your settings and stuff. Okay. We have a dead body. We've just had the Ice Queen walk out. So I'm going to start with the most obvious point of entry, which we see with the broken vase down here.
A small round piece of glass had been cut out of the pane. This was a professional job.
Okay. So we're not going to touch the body just yet because that would be tampering with evidence. So we determined that the point of entry is there. So let's go see if we can console the wife. See what she has to say.
Somewhere there were clues to the murder, and I needed to find them.
So she's looking for clues. So let's go and console the wife.
She was deep in conversation. She totally ignored me. It was a tube of acrylic paint. French ultramarine. Just the color I was after for my bathroom.
I'm sorry, I have to go. Someone is...
Young lady, what are you doing? Oh, this paint. It's my favorite color.
For God's sake, keep the damn stuff.
Okay, let's console her.
Excuse me, madame.
Yes?
I am so sorry for your loss, madame.
No, you're not. You're a journalist. Journalists don't feel sorry.
Not true.
We shall see.
Why did your husband send for me? What did he want to discuss?
I have no idea. His business was his business.
He never told you anything.
No, and frankly, I preferred it that way.
Why would a mime want to kill your husband?
Pierre had plenty of enemies. Half the husbands in Paris for a start.
How did your husband know my father?
I have no idea.
You didn't know him? Thierry Coulard?
Pierre knew a lot of people I didn't know, most of them women. This is quite a scoop for you. I suppose you're already inventing the headlines.
Just because I am a journalist.
Don't patronize me. You're all cut from the same cloth. Do you have any moral sense at all?
Of course we do.
Yes, that's why I do this job.
You do it to see your name in print.
As if my editor gets the byline, I just do the work.
Well, don't expect my sympathy.
The police will be here soon, madame. Is there anybody you would like me to contact? Family, friends?
No, I have no family. Pierre and I were... He was all I had, really. Not much, was it? The dutiful wife. That was my role. He never talked, never let me in.
I know one thing, madame.
What?
If you want to find out who killed your husband, then you let me do the job, not the police.
Why? How do I know I can trust you?
Because we're the protagonist.
Your husband invited me here today because he needed me. I think he knew somebody wanted to kill him, and he knew I could help.
I doubt it was your database he was after.
You're wrong. I was onto his killers already, I am sure of it. Please, you owe it to him.
I don't know.
All I need is a few more minutes to look around before the police come.
You really do have a moral sense, don't you? I trust so few people. And perhaps Pierre really did think that you could help. Of course it wouldn't have stopped him seducing you too. Here, take this. It's the key to the drawing room next to the library at the end of the hall. It was Pierre's room. I rarely went in there. I couldn't. I was too scared of what I might find.
Thank you. I promise you won't regret this.
Okay, cool. So, there must just be something about chicks in leather jackets and black hair. You know, she gives off a very Jesse Jones vibe. So, let's go back to the murder room, or the library. And now we can investigate the body. She's given us permission. We've already discovered that the point of entry is through the porchway. So let's see how he actually got up there. We know by the cutscene that he got up by a ladder, but let's see what Nicole Collard discovers.
The killer must have used a ladder to reach the window. He was long gone. Guess he folded that ladder up, popped it in his pocket and took it with him.
Yeah, or he could have climbed up that statue, would have been a guess. But we know he climbed up via the ladder through the cutscene. Okay, next obvious thing, let's check the body out.
Mimes and guns don't usually go together, but I had an idea that this was no ordinary mime. I'd come across this murderer before, and written about him. The costume killer, at least that's what I'd called him.
Okay, I'll take a screenshot for the thumbnail. So the guy died with his eyes open. There's something on the floor here.
It was one of my hair clips. My favorite, in fact. It must have fallen when I was knocked down.
Okay, so we've got a bobby pin, so we'll check his
Some
jacket.
people hate searching corpses for clues. Me, I'm okay with it. Reminds me of an old boyfriend.
And he's been shot, and he's got a Cheeto in his pocket, or a What's-It, we call them in England. Cheetos and What's-Its are the same thing in different parts of the world.
Carchon had been shot.
So let's take his What's-It out.
In his pocket, I found a ticket stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. Taking the ticket meant I tampered with the evidence. There was no going back now.
Right, okay. She's breaking quite a few laws here as well. So let's search the bookcase. He's got any hidden tricks or tips.
The bookcase was filled with obscure first editions.
Check the statues, see if there's any buttons on them.
A bust of Pierre Carchon, humble servant of La France. Pierre Carchon again. His eyes seem to follow me around the room.
So there's no blood splatter, you know, so it hasn't left an exit wound, it's literally just gone into him. There's no pool of blood on the floor. He's just been shot on the left hand side. So let's go and check this out, the study. So the door must be locked because she gave us a key. And so she gave us a key.
Now we were getting somewhere.
Okay. So the two most obvious things in this room is this desk and this painting. Everything else doesn't seem important. Something to do with this chair.
This wasn't the time for me to lie on the sofa doing my Marie Antoinette impression. Though it is very popular at parties, especially with gay guys. Don't ask me why.
Okay, can't click on anything else. Let's search the table. Normally clues will be found there.
As expected, the desk was yet another priceless antique. Yawn. The blotter and in tray had clearly been placed with mathematical precision.
Okay, so it doesn't look like we can click on the drawers. The only point of interest here would be the elephant, and it says we can pick that up. We can pick up the blotting paper and the tray, but I don't think that's going to be of any use. But the
My
elephant...
heart skipped a beat. It was a carved elephant. But not just any carved elephant. It had been made by my father. I knew for certain because in my apartment I had its exact twin, carved into a box he had made. So Carchon had known my father. They really must have been friends. I decided to take the carved elephant. It clearly meant nothing to Imelda.
Right, Nico. You're racking up quite a felon sheet here. You know, you've tampered with evidence. You've stolen from the property. Okay, let's go see what you can do with this.
The painting showed the Carchons together, in love. As the poet said, the past is a different country. Or did I read that in a fortune cookie?
Okay, it's got a button here.
There was the very faintest of clicks.
Rich people always hide shit behind the photographs and paintings.
Behind the picture was a safe.
Okay, so we don't have the key for that safe, and I don't think we're going to be able to pick it with a bobby pin. We'll try it anyway.
The safe's lock was too secure for me to pick. How come it always works in movies, huh?
Because it's fun and it looks skillful. Right, okay, so let's go have a look at this table. Okay, so
I reckoned that cloth might just turn out to be useful.
I'm sure she can pop out that with a bobby pin.
Aha! Nico, you are just so damn good at this stuff. Instead of comforting Imelda, I was ransacking her flat. Why? Because there was something going on here, and I had to get answers before the cops arrived. And hey, she'd been rude to me, so she had it coming.
Right, let's go try that with the safe. So let's go back to the picture. Let's try the key.
In the safe was some kind of artifact. There were strange symbols on its surface. It looked like the printer's blocks I'd made at art school. If there was one thing I'd learned about symbols, they are always important. But these symbols scratched into stone were impossible to read. I needed to find a way of printing them. At least the stone was round. But what could I use for ink? And what could I print on? Sure, I was stealing, but I knew Imelda didn't know about the artifact, and Carchon was past caring.
So, my obvious guess would be use the aqua ultramarine paint in the tray and then roll it out on the blotting paper, and that is how you used to print stuff in the olden days. You'd cover something in a liquid and roll it on some kind of sheet.
I'd spread blue paint over the bottom of the tray. It was ruined. I was a very bad girl, but also quite a clever one.
You are a bad girl. Stop talking dirty to me. So we're going to roll this brick in the paint.
I rolled the artifact in the paint until it was completely coated.
And it kind of looks like the same pattern that was on that cloth. So I don't think we can do anything with that, but we're going to roll it onto the blotting paper.
Genius! The roller and the paint worked just as I planned. But what did it say?
Okay.
It was some kind of coded message. It read, "Sub judice." I may not have learned a lot as a journalist, but that was a term I knew well. It means a legal case that is before the courts. Below it was a sequence of letters that made no sense. I suddenly realized there was a connection between the boat ticket and the coded message. The boat ticket was stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. The Conciergerie on the Ile de la Cité by the river housed the ancient law courts. So, sub judice could in this case mean literally under the law courts, below the Conciergerie. I was pretty sure I'd found all I could here. And besides, all this opulence was making me pine for my regular life of poverty. This was a huge story. It was also one heck of a puzzle with a lot of pieces missing. But I was going to crack it. And if I could just remember the name of that fancy prize you get for being an ace journalist, I was definitely going to win it this time.
So I don't know why she didn't become a detective if she likes solving murders rather than a journalist, or maybe she just likes writing about them. Okay, so let's see if we can go below the courts and see what we can find there. Let's talk to her again.
Did you find anything useful?
This carving, do you know anything about it?
It was Pierre's. What does the statue have to do with...
Please, I need to know.
He was given it by a friend, something to do with Africa.
He never explained any more.
No, but I think it was important to him, always on display. Why?
It was carved by my father.
Oh, I see. I didn't know.
Imelda, I will do everything I can to find the killer.
Thank you, my dear.
And if the police ask,
Don't worry. You were never here.
sub judice was the key. I was going to have to find a way under the conciergerie. I decided to head straight for the quayside on the Ile de la Cité. If there was a way of getting under the conciergerie, it would have to be from there.
1 hour later.
Canchon wasn't the type for messing about on the river. He was up to something down here. Something that got him killed.
Okay, so the plot has thickened in this murder mystery, but I think we're going to leave it there, and we'll continue our investigation on the next episode. So comment down below what your thoughts are. Who do you think is the killer? Why do you think Pierre Carchon was killed? And what do you think of this new director's cut? Also, if you haven't already, give it a thumbs up and tap that subscribe button in the bottom corner there. Really helps us out. And I'll catch you all in the next one real soon. Thanks for watching, guys.